Hey, besties and bosses, take two. For anyone who was live a moment ago, we started our live and then, I was getting funny messages and the screen tilted and we had all sorts of funny things. So we just figured it was only about a minute in. We would just start over. So welcome back. And if you're just catching back up, I'll intro for a few minutes anyway. Welcome. Happy Wednesday, y'all. How's everyone's in the US, for those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving? I feel like I haven't chatted with everyone since then, so I hope everyone had a lovely holiday weekend. How was your weekend? For those of you who saw the email for today's live stream, usually we go live in the group every Tuesday. If you're new to the group, I go live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. But yesterday was my 40th birthday and my new husband took me out to dinner and we spent some time celebrating. So I wanted to make sure I was present for my birthday and celebrating, but also really present with all of you. And that's always so important to me, to walk my talk on both the life and business. I'm sure you heard me talk about this before. I'm such a big believer in wherever we are, whatever we're doing, being fully present with that, whether that's with a client or celebrating our birthday or on a live stream. So easy fix, we rescheduled it for tonight. So I know some of you will probably catch this on the replay because of that, but I'm so looking forward to this conversation. I was thinking about, what could I share? It's a new year for me. I always think birthdays are a little bit like the new year, but it's also a new decade. 40 is, obviously that's a new decade. And I don't know about all of you, but I really like to spend time reflecting with birthdays, sort of like you do with the New Year's, and spending time looking back to the past year. And because it's been a new decade, also I've just been spending a lot of time reflecting on the past decade. If you listen to the podcast to one question, unapologetic questions for unapologetic results, this week's episode, I can share a replay link. I shared one question that I like to play with around my birthday for that reflection. But one of the things that came up as I was looking over that is just so many reflections, lessons, gratitude, shifts, growth around money, around income, around not just the money, like literally the numbers in my bank account, but also, some lessons and ways I've always thought about money. And I think I've just always been someone who is really interested in money, but also really appreciates it and has a great relationship with it. I've always just been very good with money and making money and what I do with my money. So noticing that, but also just noticing some of the things that have felt sticky for me around money that I've either shifted or grown through. So I thought it'd be fun to do a live stream, more money focused and more kind of in honor of my birthday, more some of those big lessons that I've learned that have really jumped out for me around money, so that you can borrow them, so you can steal them. That's what the title of this week's live stream is, right? So you can steal these lessons for your own money, income growth, but also to be able to scale your wealth, because I think there is a big difference between the money we make and around wealth, which I'll chat about before we dive in. I was thinking we could do 40 money lessons, but I think we would be here forever. I definitely have 40 money lessons. So you have to tell me now or on the replay. If you like this kind of conversation, we can always do another live stream. I can pick up on more of some of these, but we're going to try to keep it somewhat condensed to a few key takeaways. But again, let me know. You have to just let me know, yes, Kim, we want to do another one. Like, I like this stuff, and we can easily schedule another one before the new year. Not next week. Next week we have a special guest and we're going to be talking content, but after that, sometime before the new year, we can do that. I also promised you all a birthday giveaway. So you might have seen a post in the group, though I don't think it actually got a ton of reach in the group. I am giving away 2 free full-length coaching sessions in honor of my birthday to celebrate my 40th. Coaching is my happy place. It is what I love. So this is a gift to myself, and it's a gift to whoever wins it as well, but it's such a gift for me to get to connect with someone and to support someone through the clarity, mindset, strategy, and action that goes into what we're talking about today, making money on your terms, growing your income, growing and scaling your wealth. So if you want to be entered, it's really easy. There's a post. Hey, Helen, nice to have you here. I'm just getting started. There's a post that is pinned to the top of the group. I'll drop the link to the post. All you have to do is comment on the post to be entered. We're picking 2 winners on Friday for that free coaching session. And again, unless I do giveaways, which I would do these all the time. I love getting to connect with you all, but I'm fully booked. And I don't offer a single coaching session. So this is such a great way to get a free coaching session, but also a chance to connect and to work together. Be sure to comment on that. We will close the entries at 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday, give or take, we might push it a little bit by an hour or so, but easy to enter. All you have to do, you don't have to create a video or anything, all you gotta do is pop your name on that. So I will make sure we drop the link for that so that you can enter in the giveaway. And then I wanted to give an extra giveaway for those of you who are live. So Helen, you are already entered in this. Come and say hi, and I'm going to give away one copy to my self-study course, Content That Stands Out and Sells, and one copy to Sell Out Without Feeling Like a Sellout, which is my 6-week sales course that just turned into a paid course, so that's no longer free. So it's a birthday, we're giving away all the things. I will give away one of each of those when we reach out to you. If you're the winner for that, again, all you have to do throughout the live stream is just say, or on the replay, say hi. We'll pick that on Friday as well. Leave a comment. You just let me know which course you want when me or my team reach out to you for that. All right, those are all the giveaways. Birthday fun. I hope you all enjoy that. It feels, gifts are one of my love languages. So I hope that feels good for you, because it's a gift for me to get to share that. All right, so let's talk money, y'all. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this, if you know me, you know I love talking about money, but one of the reasons for that is I think there's such a stigma around talking about money. I think especially if you're here, you're heart-centered, you're passion-driven, I think we get so much charge, or there can be so much charge around speaking about money, around even thinking about making money, around it being okay to make money or not make money. And the truth is, if you're here and you're also a business owner, money is a part of your business. Money, I think, is a beautiful tool. It's a resource. I think it is something that amplifies what's already there. So if you're heart-centered and you're passion-driven, that means you're only going to do good things with that money. I think it's also important in business and how you resource yourself. I think it is what gives you choice and freedom in so many different ways. So I think there's just so many beautiful things around money, and I always want to be a voice for talking about money more. So I'm going to share some of the biggest lessons. If you have questions, throw them at me. I'm so happy to be an open book. To the degree I'm able. It feels important to say I'm not a financial advisor or planner, so obviously anything I'm sharing is through my lens and my lessons, or through client lens. Always look through your own lens with this, use your own discernment, reach out to an accountant, anything like that. If there's things we're talking about, it feels very important to say always, particularly with money. But feel free to ask me questions here on the replay if there's any specifics. I'm so happy to chat about that. So one of the first lessons when I was kind of going back through my notes in the last decade that jumped out to me, and I think this almost sounds sort of basic, but I think it is one of the biggest things people miss with money that either causes people to sabotage themselves from making income, makes it really hard to have sustainable income, or makes it kind of suck when you make the money and then want to burn down the business you've built, is really thinking about something. There's a book called Happy Money, and it's by, I'll have to think of the name. His name's Ken something. But he talks about this idea of happy money. And the way I think about it is really how you make your money matters. It's not just about the money you have, but how you make your money and what you do with your money matters so much. And I feel like this is such a foundational piece to money mindset, but also to making money in your business. And if you skip over this, and it's sort of like, well, I'll worry about that after I have the money, that's where so many, again, challenges come from. Because and what I mean by this is happy money, the book talks about this in terms of like money has an energy, and if you make money, and I think of it as money isn't created equal, meaning a dollar bill might be worth $1, but it's very different if you make that from work you love doing or if you steal $1. It's very different if you make $1 from something that feels like an even energy exchange, or if you feel like you've manipulated and tricked someone into making $1. We could say $100, we could say $1,000, we could say $1 million, right? The way you make your money really matters. Money has an energy, but also the way you feel about your money matters. And so that's sort of the energy of money when we talk about manifesting, we talk about the energy of money, but this also affects your mindset and your subconscious beliefs and the way you interact with your money. And particularly as business owners, if you're not thinking about happy money, and if you're not thinking about generating income in a way where, yes, you love what you do on your terms, that's what we talk about so much in this group, but also thinking about happy money, that's also in terms of like making money from a place of integrity and making money in a way that feels good. This is where so much sustainability with income and business comes from. And when I look at my business, so the last 2 years, I have a one-on-one business model only. So we have not added on another offer. We have never spent a dime on ads, and we've added consistently 100K or more to our revenue the past 2 years. Actually, I think the past 3 years, because I think the year before that, I have to check. I don't actually remember what my income was there, but I think maybe the past 3 years, because I think my income before that was under 100K. And we've added then 100K since then. But the reason that's been possible, that's why I talked about like, this is like, yes, lessons from money, but also like, this is really like, hear me on this. Like, this is why I've been able to add 100K without another offer or without ads, without working more. The reason that's so sustainable in my business, the reason I see this in clients and their sustainability, it really does come back to happy money and to really looking at, am I making money in a way that like, yes, is on my terms, yes, is doing work I love, but also that feels good, that feels in integrity. Because if that isn't there, you can make 100K 1 year, you can even make 100K 2 years, but either subconsciously, you're gonna know that that is out of alignment or out of integrity and want to blow all your money or spend all your money, or you're going to do something to sabotage and push that money away and not be able to keep it, or you're not going to love being in your business. We see this in our online space when people grow $1 million businesses and then all of a sudden you haven't heard from that person anymore. If you're also not building it in a way that feels good, it's really hard to want to keep showing up for something. And I think the money game, if we think about money as a game, and if we think about making money and scaling money to wealth, which I meant to talk about, so I will go back to that after this point here. But if we think about scaling money to wealth, this is a game and it's a long-term game. And people who win at the game of money really are playing the long game. If you think about even the Warren Buffetts of the world, right? Most of them are not hoping to like make $1 million overnight. They're looking at, how can I play this game smart and in a way where I can stay in the game and not burn out of the game, so that I can let things like the compound effect benefit me, so I can really benefit from what money does long term, which is why sustainability is so important, which is why happy money and making your money in a way that feels good and having that along with that integrity is so important. I feel like this is such a basic thing, and yet I think it's also the easiest thing in our space to skip over. I'm always chatting with clients, we're all entrepreneurs, right? We have so many different business ideas. Clients are always wanting to throw like, I have this idea, what about launching this, what about selling this? And one of the things I'm always checking back to is, yeah, but is that something you really want to sell? Is that something that actually feels good for you? Or do you just want to make the money? Or is that something that actually serves your audience? Is that something that you actually believe is going to help them? Or do you just want to make the money? And seeing if it's ever, I just want to make the money, but this feels like a quick way to make money. This feels like a way to make passive revenue. Which is passive revenue, y'all, is just a funny thing that doesn't exist. But if that's the place, the narrative, or what's driving making money, that's a really quick path to unhappy money, to sad money. I forget what he calls it in the book, but I would really pay attention to that and just notice, again, it's just so easy in our online space because you're getting flooded with, here's how you should make money, here's how you should make $1 million, here's how you should scale your business, here are all the things you can do. And it makes such a difference to the money you make now, but also the sustainability with your money and your ability to sustain your income and grow your wealth, if you're really looking at it that way. I told y'all, I get so parched in the winter. So let me know if you have any questions about that. What I wanted to backtrack to and what I think is helpful to understand. And one of the things and the ways I think about money is I think we all have a money blueprint. And I think our money blueprint can compose of a lot of things. Our money blocks, I don't know if I really believe in blocks, but our history with money, our stories around money, some of the ways we resist money. But I also think we all have a blueprint in terms of what feels really good around the difference and kind of our own unique combination of being rich and being wealthy, or having money now and having money later. The author of Psychology of Money talks about this concept, and this is the way I think about it a lot. And I think it's really helpful to get clear on this for yourself. And I'm sharing this because we're going to talk today about, yes, your income, yes, about, making money, but also about building, scaling wealth. And so just like, so we're on the same page there. I think about making money, making income, the money you have now and the money you spend now, that is being rich, that is being abundant. And then I think about wealth, when we think about growing, scaling our wealth, that's what I think about it. That is all the money left over that you don't spend in your business, that you don't spend in your personal life, that you don't spend on the abundant things in your life that bring you joy, that maybe they don't bring you joy, but maybe, just taxes, all the expenses, right? All the money that's left over, what you do with that is your wealth. And we don't want, personally, I believe, again, you get to have your beliefs here around money, but I don't want to just have wealth. What I want to look at is how am I scaling my wealth in terms of how am I leveraging my money to make more money. And so that's when we're talking about those concepts, that's really what I mean there. And we'll kind of talk about this a little bit more at the end of the live stream, but since we're talking about it now, one of the lessons I have really learned in the last decade, but really in all of my life, is there is, I think past Kim, probably in her 20s, there was so much more the mindset and the mechanism of making money now and being rich now, and then also having wealth in terms of I've always been a saver, and I started my retirement quite young. So that is leveraging my money to grow wealth. But really my mindset was so much more about just having wealth, not thinking about money in terms of how can I leverage it to scale my wealth. And that's so much of what shifted for me in the last few years. And I really see, like, as I'm going to this new decade and as I'm just thinking about money in a new way, is not just how can I have money now and how can I even have wealth now, but how can I really look at scaling that and really leveraging my money to make more money. And I think that's just a different mindset. And it's okay if that's not where you're at, but I think that's just an interesting place to think about. And that's just been a really big lesson in growth for me around money. And this is, again, coming from someone who I think I've always been really great with money and great at making money and having money and growing money. But again, it's a shift in the way I'm even thinking about how I'm looking at it and my discernment with what I'm doing with my money, which kind of goes back to the first thing we were talking about in terms of it's not just the money you make, but it's how you make your money that matters, and it's what you do with your money. I think that makes such a big difference. And what I will offer here, since we're talking about this now, is when I say it's what you do with your money that matters, my belief into so much of the lesson I've had there as well is, and that doesn't mean all of the money you make necessarily needs to be put towards wealth building, growing, scaling. Some of that might be towards more of that immediate feeling rich now, spending money now, investing money now, buying things that bring you joy now. And that's why I think understanding your money blueprint and really what is that combination between I want money now for things versus I want to have money later. Understanding that for yourself, I think, is so important, because I think that has actually been a really big lesson for me. I used to, I think in my 30s, I was really great at, or even really, this was probably in my 20s, I was really, really great at saving money, but it came from such a mindset of not understanding this money blueprint and almost like at the expense of enjoying my money now. My money blueprint, I didn't understand that. And so it was almost like really lopsided and more from a place of scarcity, I would say, and not about enjoying money now. And so I think that's why it's just so important to understand that. So you're really not making either wrong, and you're making space for both, but you're also understanding that balance that works for you. So you can really have discernment with your money. Discernment is, I think one of the gifts with making money and having money in your business and as a business owner is it gives you choice. It gives you that freedom of choice. And with that choice, you get to have discernment, including what do I want to do with this money? So I think allowing yourself to have that discernment is such a gift. And that has been one of the biggest lessons for me. With more money comes more discernment. But with that understanding, again, that difference of like, what is that money blueprint between money now, feeling rich now versus feeling rich later, building wealth? What is that feels really good for me and works for me? And allowing that to be my filter for discernment has been a really big gift. And I continue to kind of grow into that and evolve into that and like play with edges around that. But that's something I would offer to you in terms of playing playing around with that so you're not making yourself wrong, but so that you also know how to make those choices and have that discernment. Okay, one of the next big money lessons that has come up for me in the last decade, and I would say this is really one that's come for me, well, this might be one that I've always had, but I think this has just really been highlighted for me in business, is you're able to bring in and make the money you're available for and available for holding. And so I like wanted to figure out how to explain this, but I think it's one thing to want a certain amount of money. I mean, I think we all have money goals, and it's really easy to say, I want to be a millionaire, whatever that number is. And then I think so often what we miss when it comes to creating income, when I look at adding on 100K, or it'll be more this year, 100, whatever it is this year, K, to the business, it's one thing to have the goal to want to make the money, but then looking at really, am I available to hold that? And meaning, I think sometimes we think that just means like, am I okay with having that money come in? And we forget all the other elements that come with being available for more money in our life, whether that's through revenue or whether you're manifesting that or whether you're having that come through something like an investment. And I think that's really something to play with and to look at. And that's just something I've seen. It seems so removed from money, but I think it's so directly tied to our money. And this is things like, so if we want to have more money come into our business, do we literally have capacity in our business for that money to come through? Do you have the capacity in terms of serving people at that level, or holding it in your nervous system around what comes up around having that money come in? Or do you have the infrastructure in terms of team to support that money coming in? So I think just seeing like sometimes we want to get latched onto a money goal or an income goal. And what I have just seen over and over again is with every income goal I've had, and for being able to create more money, it's both sort of like that mindset element of what am I available for? I have to be available for this. If I have, and I think on the mindset side of this, if I have resistance coming up around that, I need to clear that resistance. What fears, what resistance do I have around this number? And I promise you, if you're stretching around income, we think like, oh my gosh, that would just feel amazing. Of course I just want to have $1 million. But there's generally, for most of us, we hit edges and there is resistance, there is fear, there are edges we hit that we have to really work through to be available for that number to come in. If we're going to be able to have that number, hold it, keep it, sustain it, not sabotage along the way and push it away, or have it and then have something that we just want to burn down. So I think that's on the mindset side. We really get what we're available for. And then I think just on the practical side, seeing, and generally speaking, money loves a container, right? We receive what we're available for in terms of what we have the containers for. And that often is where the strategy pieces and the practical pieces come to play. And seeing that that's okay. I think sometimes we want to make that wrong. That's not a bad thing. I think just seeing that as part of, we get what we're available for. If we don't have the containers and the infrastructure for something, we don't have the container for money, it's really hard to be available for that money to come in. And I mean, I love me some affirmations, but I think that's just why seeing affirmations alone in general aren't enough to create and to grow income and to scale wealth for this reason, right? We kind of have to work on the mindset side through what is the resistance, what is the stickiness around that number, what comes up around it that has us maybe push that away, that maybe subconsciously has us hit a ceiling. And then again, on the practical strategy side, what's the infrastructure we practically need in place? What are the channels we need to have that money come through in the container for that? Even as practically as speaking as literally speaking, if we want money to come through, we have to have a bank account and a payment system for that to come in, and then just seeing how that ripples out in terms of offers that we have to have money come through. And again, things like we were talking about in terms of team. Sometimes for me, many of you know I have the revenue share model. And so it's not necessarily that I'm going to be increasing capacity, but sometimes for me, that means if I'm going to hold more, do I need to have team take on? Do we need to have different systems and processes in place so that I can be that much more in with my clients and focus on that work to allow that revenue to come in instead of, doing things that just don't make sense for me to do in the business. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions now, everyone's very quiet on this one. leave me a question, comment, anything you want more clarity on. So happy to answer it or to dive into it on another live stream. And don't forget, if you leave a comment, we're gonna pick a winner for the content that stands out and sell out without feeling like a sellout. Okay, so next one here. I think we can get through one or two more on today's live, and then y'all let me know if you want to hear more for this. Okay. This actually feels like a big one. So this might be the last one we get through in terms of money lessons. I have some really good mindset ones, so maybe we'll do that as another live stream. We'll see where we get on the time. I usually am a little more like, these are the things we're going to cover, but this one was just sort of like brain dumping because there's just been so many good ones over the last decade or two in my life. But this one I think is very relevant for, I'll split it into two pieces for all of us here. So I think this first one here, this I can touch on quickly, and it's the way I want to phrase it is that money up to a certain point, making more money up to a certain point, I believe, this is my belief, again, you can believe what you want, I actually think it can be life-changing. And then I think after a certain point, the difference with the money you make is, I don't think you notice it that much. I think the difference is quite negligible. And I want to explain this because I think this is something that we get really twisted in our online space, and we get really twisted, I think, particularly in the caring, healing, heart-centered giving space. And so the first piece there is that I think up to a certain point, money can be life-changing. And I say that because I think there's a little bit of BS in our space. And this has just been a really great lesson for me as I've made more money in my business. And I think there's just a little BS around this idea that like money doesn't matter. You shouldn't care about money in your business. And I don't know, it shouldn't be important. And, you know, money can't solve problems, and money, like, just this narrative around that piece, and it should just be about the work, and you shouldn't care about that. And I honestly, I frankly think if you're running a business, money does matter. I know I can't run my business without money. I can't pay my team. I can't pay the support that keeps me in a place where I'm able to support others if I don't have resources to do that. I don't know any businesses that can run without resources. I also think money to a certain point, I mean, I live in a home, right? I buy groceries. Like, there are just very practical things that money buy for us. And so I think I think it's an unfair story and narrative that really puts you in a place where it almost demonizes making money or wanting to make money. And so up to a certain point, I think not only is money essential, but I think it really can be life-changing to go from, I think about my first year that I made 100K in business, that was life-changing. I went from, you know, probably making, I don't actually remember where the numbers were that year before. I would have to look that up for y'all, but I want to say a couple $1,000s a month to, you know, going from that to 8,000 a month to 10K months. That is wildly life-changing. I went from having to work another job to being able to run my business full-time, to being able to invest in team, to feeling so resourced. Like, that is a life-changing thing. They've done studies on this that up to about 70,000, I think depending on where you live, that number might change. I think as business owners too, I would say maybe this is 70,000 take home. I think as business owners, you know, we have to take into account expenses. I live in New York City, so I would inflate that number a little bit. But up to a certain amount, making more money actually does make people happier. They've done studies on this. And so I say that because people say money can't buy you happiness. And I just call BS on that. I think to a certain degree it can. And then after that, and I think this is so important to hear, and this has been the really big lesson for me in the last few years, after that, at a certain point, it really doesn't make that much of a difference in your life, especially if you're not caught up in, I don't know, certain lifestyle things. And so maybe like the difference between going from 0 to 100K a year, huge life change. The difference between going from 0 to 10K, 20K months, like it really is a big difference maker in your business. But going from 20K months to 30K months, 30K to 40K months, I see this in clients I have plenty of clients who make more money than me. The difference is honestly like it's really exciting and something fun to celebrate. And it's something as a business owner, I want to keep scaling, and I want to keep scaling as well because of the way we make, I get to support team and I get to support more people, and that means my clients are making more money. But that difference, quite honestly, to me on a day-to-day basis, to my life, to the way I'm able to show up and serve, to how I feel, like it just means there are some different things in my bank account. And I say that because it goes back to the first thing we were talking about on today's live stream around happy money, and the way you make your money matters. Because in our space, there's so much noise about, it's almost like scaling for the sake of scaling, or making money for the sake of making money, or selling things for the sake of selling. And I think it's so easy to get stuck in that trap, and to get stuck in that like chasing more money for the sake of making more money. And look, this is coming from someone who I love making money. I love money. I love playing with money. I love watching my money grow. I love investing my money, but really from a neutral place, not from a place of like, I need more money or think that's going to change my life. And so I think it's important to say though, because I do think hearing me say that, if you're at a place where money can be life-changing, that can be really confusing. And also like, I think it can be a little frustrating to hear. And what I know when I look back the last 10 years, when I look back at the last however many years in business, what I really believe, again, you get to believe what's true for you. What I really believe is up to a certain point, making more money is absolutely life-changing. And it gives you choice. It gives you, again, that discernment we were talking about. It gives you financial freedom. It allows you to support yourself. It allows you to invest in team. I think personally, it can buy you happiness up to a certain point. And I think up to a certain point, it really is beneficial in your business. Again, for like my business, it would be impossible for me to have added 100 plus, I don't know what it is. We have to do the math still at the end of the year, but I think it'll be 125-ish K this year, 100K last year. Like that would have been impossible if I didn't have the resources to invest in team to support me. So again, up to a certain point, it makes such a difference. But here's the piece I really want you to hear. And then after that, money is not the thing that like makes you safer. Money is not the thing that solves your problems. Money is not the thing that is going to make you happier. And so I think that's why it's confusing. So I want to be clear, like up to a certain point, absolutely. After that, money is not the thing that like suddenly like everything is going to be different when you hit that 40K month. But my 40K month and my 30K month, honestly, if you were looking from the outside in, like they looked exactly the same. I was doing exactly the same thing. I felt the same thing. I had the same challenges in my business. I had the same exciting things in my business. I'm so grateful for that. Like so grateful, and like makes me so happy, and it's a really fun mile marker. But it really wasn't that big of a difference maker. And so that's the part I want you to hear. Up to a certain point, makes a huge difference. After a certain point, it really doesn't. And the reason that's important is because I think what happens, and what I see and I support clients with all the time, and where I see this trip people up with income is, I think one of two things happen. One, either we just create the story that if there's any personal challenge going on, or if you don't feel safe with money, or you don't feel safe in your business, that making more money is going to give you that safety. And I was literally talking about this with a client today. What I really want to offer is, no, you have to create that safety first. Making more money, you're just going to fall. That feeling not safe in your business or with money is just going to follow you as you make more money. We talked about this at the beginning of the live stream. Money amplifies what's already there. If you're not feeling safe without money, you're not going to suddenly feel safer, especially after that life-changing moment. And so I think it's just really important to see, like at a certain point, we chasing money to try to solve things, or thinking like, then I'm going to feel better, then I'm going to love my business, then everything will feel good, then I'll feel safe, then I'll be happy. That's just not the way it goes. But again, that's very different. At a certain point, it does make a difference. So hopefully you're understanding what I mean there. The other reason this is so important is, again, I think it's just in our space, it's just so easy to want to chase money for the sake of making money, and to almost want to make money from an ego-driven space instead of from a place of alignment, because it's happy money, because that's the work you want to do, because it serves you, because it serves your business. And so I offer this because if you're falling into that trap, part of that is thinking things are going to be different, better when you make more money. And then it's really easy to get trapped into making unhappy money, to making money in a way that it's either out of alignment or out of integrity, or that just doesn't feel good to you. And I'm just telling you, like I've just seen this so much myself, but with so many clients, the difference, like at a certain point, there just isn't much. And so you might as well like the way you make your money. This is why I'm so perfectly happy scaling at a way that is by industry standards a lot slower than, making $1 million from offering something different, because I love my work. I love my business. I love the way I make my money. And I know it's not going to be that different when my business scales to $1 million. So hopefully that makes sense. I think that is just something that has made such a big difference for me and really helped me to also unhook from that feeling of like needing to rush. Because I mean, y'all, I get the same noise everyone else does in terms of scaling and numbers and how important they are. And I think as a business owner, that's something we use in our marketing so much. And I'm in spaces and I'm in a mastermind with people who are making far more than me. I have clients who make far more than me. So it'd be really easy to hook into that story that it is important to want to make money from that ego-driven place. And it makes it really easy to unhook from that and to tell my ego to simmer down, because this is such a lesson that I've just really seen and integrated, which is there just really isn't that much of a difference after a certain point. Again, it feels good. It's great to have. It's not like it's a bad thing. I'm very much celebrating the wins when we have those bigger months, and very grateful that we continue to scale. I'm very grateful for what that does for me. And it's not like it's not a joyful thing, but in terms of the day-to-day of your business, how you make your money matters is so much more important to me than the, that slight dopamine hit from having that larger number, or, that thing I could buy because I have a little bit more money in my bank account. I'm looking at the time. Y'all want one more? Because y'all have been so quiet. I also know because we're on a different day, we're gonna probably have a lot of replays on this. So I'm gonna give one more here, and then you let me know in the replay if you want another money lessons live, if you're enjoying this sort of content. So you'll have to let me know. I'm gonna go through this last one here because I think it ties into what we were just talking about. And I'm trying to think of how to say this succinctly. So it's kind of a two-parter. So I think this is something that has just been, and again, this really ties into what we were just talking about, but just such a lesson to me in business when it comes to money is seeing the profit margin, what you take home after taxes, after paying team, if you run ads, after all of those expenses, profit margin matters so much. And to me, that matters so much more than the gross and the overall income you're bringing in. And two pieces to that. Generally speaking, at the start of your business, your profit margin probably will be smaller, and it will, if you have yourself set up in a way that's really sustainable and how you grow if you're growing your business with this in mind, with profit in mind, that will generally grow as your business grows because your expenses don't grow as much. And I think that's really important to say, because I know, and this was just a big, nice lesson for me. I remember I've always had a great profit margin because of our business model and the way we run our business. But I remember my first year with bringing in team, when it was my first year that I had over 100K in the business. I remember really making myself wrong and I had we have such a great profit margin. I'm so grateful for that. And I really made myself wrong because my profit margin wasn't as good as I thought it could be. And it made me think I couldn't invest more in team because I almost put so much emphasis on profit margin. I felt like that was important, and I really felt crunchy around that in terms of investing more in team or investing more in myself. And one of the biggest lessons here, which has helped me, and I want to make this connection to this lesson directly helped me scale my income and scale my wealth, which is why I want to share this with you, is seeing that yes, profit margin does matter, and profit margin generally is smaller at the start of our business. And part of the way we increase profit margin and increase income is by reinvesting back into our businesses. And for most businesses, I don't know a single business that isn't reinvesting back into their business and that isn't spending money to make money. And I don't know a single successful business owner that's at six figures, multiple six figures, $1 million, that also isn't reinvesting back into themselves in some way, shape, or form. I'm biased towards coaching, but it doesn't have to be coaching. I think that's just a fact. But I think what's important to see is the way you're able to scale your income, the way you're able to have a really great profit margin, is by seeing that your profit margin probably will be smaller at the beginning of your business as you're starting to make great income. Because one of the best things you can do when you're bringing in income is looking at, where does the business need me to reinvest? Not spending money for the sake of spending money, thinking if I just spend money that'll make me money, but really being smart as a business owner and as a CEO and seeing this is what being a business owner is all about, and looking at, yes, profit margin matters, but for me to have a bigger profit margin, I need to see what does my business need so that I can scale. And when I scale, that's going to open me up to have a bigger profit margin. So using myself as an example, 100K, I could have just hoarded that all and stayed at 100K and had a good profit margin. Or what I did was, and I just had to work through this, which is why I'm sharing this with you as a lesson. This was, hey Marie live, she says, what a nice surprise. Happy birthday. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. Yeah, we're doing a, I missed y'all. I couldn't skip a live. We're doing a Wednesday since I took yesterday off for my birthday celebration, but I wanted to hang with y'all. But kind of going back here, for me to be able to scale from 100, whatever it was, 125K to 250K the following year, I needed to reinvest in myself, in my personal development, in my business development. I also needed to reinvest into team and bring on more team, particularly with my business model, but I think that's for most businesses, which meant my profit margin, yes, it was still good, but it's honestly better now than it probably was in my first year in business, even though we spend more on things like team. We spend more by a dollar amount, but it's a smaller percentage. But seeing, I had to make that investment to be able to bring in more income the following year. And by bringing in more income the following year, yes, I had a smaller profit margin to start, but that allowed that profit margin to grow the following year because the income doubled essentially. So saying this year, right, we've added on 100K plus, whatever that is this year. For me to do that, I had to look at how can I reinvest back into the business, reinvest back into myself. And this is where, we did a bite-sized biz lesson on this. I have a little beef with the whole idea of spend money to make money. I think sometimes it just feels like if I just spend money, then money will magically come to me. I think it's how can we strategically and be very smart about the ways we invest money and use our money, leverage our money to make more money. It's the same thing with growing wealth, right? It's not just buy stuff and then you manifest more money. It's also looking at how can you leverage your money to grow and scale wealth. But the same thing here, profit margin matters, but part of the way you're able to increase your profit margin is also looking at where do I need to reinvest back into the business and not making that wrong. And again, seeing your profit margin probably for most people will probably be smaller at the start of your business, and it will expand as you grow if you're being smart with those investments. And I would say this has been one of the biggest lessons for me, because profit margin does matter so much to me, and especially with my business model, and especially because we're not a business that's going to, I'm very available for hitting $1 million next year. I'm very, very available for that. And I'm also very available, and it's a high priority for me to scale in the way that feels congruent for me. What we talked about at the beginning of this live stream, happy money, making money on my terms, and really being in integrity with my clients. Since we have the revenue share model, it's really not up to me. It's up to my clients and how they do, and not putting pressure on my clients to bring in income so that I can hit my income goals, which means I might next year, or we continue the way we are, we'll probably continue to add on about 100, maybe a little bit more K per year. And I say that because we were talking about the profit margin then is really important for me. I think it should be important for every business owner, quite honestly, but because I want to make sure that as I'm happy money, right? We're talking about that I'm taking home money in a way that I can really benefit from that to scale my wealth, which is the other piece we'll close on. And I cannot stress enough how much for me there's such a contraction before an expansion with me with reinvesting, because the profit margin matters. So I want to offer that to you to see profit margin does matter, but don't let it matter to a degree where you sabotage your ability to increase your profit, to increase your income, because you're not wanting to invest. And I have just seen this year after year after year in my business. The more I'm willing to invest from a smart place, again, not just throwing money at a problem, but from a place of this is really what my business needs to, what we talked about earlier, to be available to hold more income in the business, to be able to bring more in, the channels, the container I need. Every time I invest from that place and I stretch that investment, even if it's at the expense momentarily to my profit margin, it always benefits my business. I have never invested in coaching. I have never invested in team. I have never invested in anything, again, from a place of being really conscious about it, where at first hasn't temporarily given me a hit on profit margin, and then it hasn't exponentially paid off in terms of the scalability and in terms of being able to increase that income, but also either keep the profit margin the same or stretch it. So I hope that is helpful. I think that has been, a really big lesson for me and just an interesting insight for me. And I think, again, because I see the behind the scenes of so many businesses between my coaching clients and my peers, it's just something I've seen through other people as well. Profit margin, generally a little smaller at the beginning. It scales as your income does, and I just see how much being willing to spend money, to make money, to invest money, to allow more money to come in, just how that is a common factor and ingredient among successful business owners, but among people who are growing their income and scaling their wealth. With the caveat, and this is still, I am not a financial planner, I am not an accountant, but I'm also not here to say, and now this means just go throw money at a bunch of things and then just, again, blindly spending money brings in money. This is, again, from a place of really understanding what does your business need, what do you need to be able to grow, to be able to scale, to have those channels, to have those containers, to be available to hold more income revenue in your business. So I really want to be clear with that distinction, because I think sometimes we can get a little almost like investment spend happy, where it's like, well, investing money makes me money, so let me just go invest it on all the things, which is why I pair this with your profit really does matter, in my opinion. And seeing that, like, part of the way we make that happen is also through being available to invest and like stretching into that, and seeing how sometimes we have to stretch a little bit. I've definitely invested in team before where there was a month or two where like that cut the profit margin down because the business needed a second to catch up. But there was no way the business could have caught up to bring in more had I not done that. So that feels very, very important to speak to. All right, the last thing we'll close on, and then if you're watching now again on the replay, if you want to say hi, leave a comment, leave an emoji, you'll be entered to win either content that stands out and sells, or now sell out without feeling like a sellout, which is now a paid course. And then if you want to win one of those 2 free coaching sessions, there's a thread, I will drop it. You just have to comment on the post itself. These are my birthday giveaways because gifts are my love language. They make me feel so good and I get to connect with y'all. So we'll make sure we drop a link to that. And if you want more money talk, I'm probably just gonna do one anyway, but you'll have to let me know if you're enjoying this. But the last piece I'll close on, since we've been talking about, like, part of the title here was about scaling your wealth, and what I want to close on in terms of that money lesson that we touched on at the beginning of this live stream is inviting you to think about, and this has just been a nice lesson for me, a lesson that I've deepened into. This has always been important to me, but something that I've just really been deepening into, I'd say particularly over the last few years, and it's just feeling like a really just present for me as I'm going into the next decade as well, is looking at, again, what is that money blueprint for you, that ratio of richness to wealth that feels really good for you, having money now, being able to spend money now, being able to have stuff, and then growing wealth, having money later. And really looking at what we were talking about here, investing money, right? Investing money into your business and seeing that if I invest some money now, I might take a temporary hit so that I can make more money later. Seeing the same with whatever your take-home profit is, it would really invite you to start to think about that money you're keeping, yes, saving some money, not spending it, but also looking at how can you really leverage your money to make you more money. I don't think there's a lot of passive revenue out there, but I do think there's, in terms of investing wisely, that's like one of the few pure forms of passive revenue and my personal favorite. So again, I am not a financial planner. I am not an accountant. You, like everyone here, you got to figure out what your money blueprint is. When one of the free coaching calls, we can talk through this as well, but it's not for me to tell you what to do with your money or to advise you on that. Talk to your people about that and what makes sense for you. So I think there are a lot of factors there, but I think this is just something where as you start to make more money in your business, and we think about with money comes that freedom of choice and being able to have more discernment. And I think growing wealth is, and by growing wealth, I mean, it is the money that you're not spending and having. I think the more wealth we grow, and not that we're not going to spread the wealth, but again, I think the more that allows you to have that discernment, to have that choice in your life. And there is simply saving money Or there is what we were talking about with sort of being willing to invest in your business, looking at what are the opportunities for me to leverage my money to make more money, and starting to think about that really from a strategic place, and thinking about how that's part of your money plan and part of even your business plan. I like to think that, and so what we do is I have retirement funds set up that have changed in terms of what makes sense for my business. We obviously have savings, and then we have different investments that I personally invest into outside of that. And I almost think of those as another revenue stream, because those are me using my money to make more money. So I want to invite you all to think about that and to really see how, but like with that, this kind of goes back to what we're talking about with the business, just starting to use your mindset, but just starting to think about, instead of how can I just think about what's the money I'm making and like what are the things I want and what can I do with it, and that's so important. Starting to think about money is an asset. How can I use my money? How can I leverage my money in my business to make more money, outside of my business to make more money? And then the last little piece I'll put on that, and then the other piece I would invite you to think about is, I think of time as the ultimate luxury. Also thinking about, and this is again personal belief, you might not believe this, but I think time is the one asset that is so valuable in our business that we cannot get back, and it is one of the things that we cannot renew. And so as you're looking at where can I invest my money to make more money, also seeing your time is literally an asset that is worth money. And so investing, yes, in money to make more money, that is a way we scale our wealth, but also seeing, I think there is wealth we have with our time, and starting to think of your time as an asset. And as I think so often what happens in business is we only get wrapped around the financial asset of money, and we forget to think about the asset like our time and what we do with it and how we spend it, and kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the live stream in terms of, it's not just about the money you make, but how you make your money that matters, and that happy money. But your time it really is an asset, and it's so valuable. So also thinking about, when I'm thinking about investing money, when I'm thinking about how can I use my money to scale my wealth, it is absolutely in things like investments and in my retirement, but it's also looking at how can I invest my money in my time and in myself, so I can essentially buy back my time, because I know my time is money. I know my time is valuable. I know my time is limited, and it is a really valuable resource. How can I leverage my time by leveraging my money to buy me back time, which might mean investing in team support. It might mean investing in grocery deliveries, right? I mean, there's so many different ways we can play with that, but that's something I would invite you to think about, because for me, that has been a money lesson, and that's been an interesting money lesson, because I think it's a little different when we can see the numbers stacking up, and it's kind of what we were talking about at the beginning. After a certain point of money, to a certain degree, money will change your life. After that, yes, it's a lovely thing to make more, but you're gonna have some of those negligible differences. But this is a way you can leverage some of that and really actually feel the difference in your life experience, is when you can leverage your money to scale your time. And seeing that as a way of also scaling your wealth. If you start to think about your time is also a form of wealth, and how you spend your time, wealth isn't just money, right? It's our life. It's how we live our life. It's how we enjoy our life. That's why I think the concept of happy money is so beautiful. I hope this has been helpful for y'all. I love talking about money, clearly. We've been chatting for a while. Thank you for hanging with me. Again, comment below. I'll drop a link if you want to win one of those 2 free coaching sessions. If you don't want to wait to win a session, or you're interested in some more support, not just around money and the mindset around money, but what I support my clients with is really in the clarity, the mindset, the strategy and action that goes into making money on your terms in your business. I'm really good at it. I've been doing this for quite a while, and my clients get incredible results that I love celebrating with them. I'll also I will also drop a link. That is what happens when you say link and drop together. You get drink. I will drink. I will drop a link for a coaching consultation below. We are, booking some one-on-one spots out. I think we have a coaching intensive available this month, and then we're booking for the new year as well. My spots do tend to fill up, so if that's something you are thinking about, curious about, book a call with me. I promise if you're not a fit, if it's not a fit for the work I do, I know so many incredible coaches I would be happy to refer you to. So I will be the first person. Fit is so, so, so important to me, particularly since most of my clients work with me for years. It's really important to me. I'll be the first person to say, you're an amazing person, but this isn't a fit, and we'll refer you out. So I will drop a link for that if that's something you're interested in. I would love, love, love to support you. Either way, get yourself signed up to win a free call. If you're a client of mine, you can still win a free bonus session. So add yourself to that list as well. And then I'll be back next week. We have a fun live with a special guest and a friend of mine. Will be chatting some great content strategies and tips with y'all. All right. Love you. See you next week.